Multiplayer once again. All right, I'm running Breya a second time here. This time I'm up against Mina and Den Wildborn. Pretty new commander that I haven't seen too much of, but seems quite powerful. Gonti, who I've seen all over the place. Seems like every person playing mono black is running Gonti these days. I'm not too impressed by him, honestly, but I guess he does some cool stuff. I guess you can get the best card off the top of their library. And then, of course, Nissa, who is ubiquitous in 1v1 commander. I have a pretty excellent hand, actually, given the fact that it's got double tutor, acceleration, tithe, and fabricate. It's not completely ideal. Obviously, you'd like to get some of the targets for these cards in your opening hand, but as far as options go, it is fantastic. I'm not going first, too, which actually makes the tithe slightly better, even though, of course, you'd always want to go first because you get that free extra card. But I'm certainly keeping. I think Bob of Westgate is first, Mr. Gonti. So off we go. So many chat messages. Stop. It just never ends. All right. Bloodstained Mire. And Phyrexian Reclamation. It's kind of a good card, actually. I've seen Phyrexian Reclamation do pretty good work. It's certainly quite good in a format where you have 40 life. And very cheap. And this guy just plays a Terramorphic Expanse. An odd choice in a mono green deck, but I guess if he doesn't have the regular fetch lands. Crucible. Man, keeps getting better. Lots of good options now. I'm just going to play the Wooded Foothills since it's the only source of white that I have right now. Have to go get a plateau with that. And this guy just gets a Cinder Marsh. That's what that is, right? Or Cinder Glade. All right. I'm going to check my card size. Man, I just can't get him bigger. Oh well. Alright, he's not doing anything. Urza's Tower, that's weird. But alright, I wonder if that means that he only has one land. Okay, so end of turn, of course, I'm casting Tithe. And I'm just going to get two blue whites. Just Hallowed Fountain and Tundra. Since I already have black mana, and the Felwarstone makes black too. Of course, whenever I'm playing this deck, I'm always thinking about, especially when I have Enlightened Tutor in my hand, I'm always thinking about how is the best way to arrive at triple black to get Necro out, because that's sort of the mid to long-term game plan. But here it's pretty trivial given the fact that I've got Crucible of Worlds, so I'll be able to get black mana with that later. So just getting two Tundras. I don't even have to discard. Oh, nice. Counterspell delivered. So I can cast the Felwarstone. This is a very unusual game where none of my opponents are playing with white or blue. Between the three of them, they're only playing Jund colors. Alright, so he just taps 2 mana. Man, my opponents are just drawing nothing. It's going to be the person who's going fast. Alright, he taps 3 and casts a Phyrexian Rager. Alright, have a Rager. It's like budget over there or something, except for the Bloodstained Mire. Alright, there's his third land. I feel like he might have just drawn that. And of course, he gets a fourth land thanks to Nissa. He's done. Alright, so lots of choices here. Could have tutored during upkeep to potentially get some artifacts, to do some cool stuff like that. I had the option to play the Crucible of Worlds and put Wooded Foothills into play, but I'm kind of reluctant to do anything that really makes me seem like a threat other than playing my creature. And I just picked up Future Sight too, which means that the Necropotence is less important. So with that in mind, I decided I'm just going to play this slow route here and kind of just look like I'm biding my time in my business by just playing my commander and chilling, with the intention of playing the Crucible of Worlds next turn and just building up mana before I start doing any of this other stuff. But, of course, as you guys know, having watched my other games, I'm always thinking Orb. Always be thinking Orb. Look for the opportunity. Tunneling Geopede. Okay, that's mediocre, but I guess he's playing some sort of landfall thing with his commander. Alright, so I would have thought that Bob of Westgate should have just played Gonti here, but instead he plays Liliana of the Dark Realms, which he can protect with the Rager. And this is another reason also why you just play Breya early, because it gives you a lot of reach against Planeswalkers. This is a prime example of that. So he just gets black mana, gets a swamp. Alright, he plays this thing. Oasis Ritualist. Interesting creature, just taps for mana, and you can exert it to get 2 mana. It's kind of like a creature-based Sisay's Ring in mono green. I assume he's playing with the one that has devotion to green. That one's really crazy. Much better than this guy. Okay, so during upkeep, do I tutor here? And looking at the situation, I see tap, tap, tapped, 4 lands tapped here, and 4 lands tapped here. And I've got Crucible, and I have Fabricate, and I've got Enlightened Tutor. And this seems like the perfect opportunity to pull the trigger on the orb. So I'm going to go do that right now. And in retrospect, I think I should have done this in reverse order. Because I have Fabricate, I'm intending to go get a mana source. So what I probably should have done was, I probably should have Enlightened Tutor for Soul Ring, and then attacked first to see what this guy would do, because he's going to value his Liliana of the Veil. I mean, obviously his correct play is to just chump block with the Rager anyway, no matter what, to keep the Liliana of the Veil in play as long as possible, given the fact that he can recycle the Rager and it's not doing anything anyway. So I fully don't expect to be able to attack into that Liliana and kill it. But I just go and click on the Winter Orb before really much time goes by. So I'm going to attack first before I do anything else. And these are, of course, all going at Liliana. And to my great surprise, he just lets it die, which I'm overjoyed to see, given the fact that Liliana is actually a decent answer to Winter Orb. So now I'm going to Fabricate. And even though I'd like to leave a land untapped, I know that this is going to turn into an archenemy situation really quickly, and I don't really want to be taking tons of extra damage from Mana Crypt. So even though it means all my mana is tapped, I'm going to play Soul Ring over Mana Crypt and cast the Orb. And just like that, everyone's clamped down. Winter is here. May it be long and cold. Nature's lore. Okay, cool. I love that. In fact, he paid 2 mana to get 1. That's excellent. Alright, he's not doing shit. He hits me for 3. I go down to 32. Mono black, of course, very grumpy about the fact that he can't do anything, so he just says done. He doesn't even attack with his Rager. No, I guess he does. See, once again, that's one way you get rid of Winter Orb. You just attack the guy who's got it. And this guy over here starts grumbling about how he has 1 card in his whole deck that can deal with Winter Orb. I think you're going to see a lot of dialogue popping up here as these guys complain about it. And I'm sure there are people who are watching this video who are going to be like, oh, you're some tough guy. You beat up on a bunch of casuals with Winter Orb. Aren't you proud of yourself? But again, the truth of the matter is that these decks really... I mean, they really aren't too bad. These aren't the worst decks in the world. And if all 3 of them are ganging up on me, they should be able to at least put a dent in what I'm doing, even with Winter Orb in play. And honestly, you know, I almost always get ganged up on anyway, and Winter Orb is the way that you kind of deal with multiple opponents. It's just the card that does it better than any other card in the entire format, probably. So he just doesn't even attack with Nissa. I'm not sure about that. But he didn't do anything, which made me very happy. So I get to untap my land, and of course I get to play another thing out of the graveyard for free thanks to the Crucible of Worlds. That gives me 2 blue for my counterspell. So I'm feeling very good. No reason to attack. I'm just going to chill here and build up mana while these guys struggle. And my intention is, in a few turns, to play Future Sight protected by Mystical Tutor. I mean by Counterspell. And really just go nuts. Plus this thing is a way to get War of Invention a little bit later too, which is really, really powerful when you've got Breya and Crucible and Winter Orb in play. I mean, literally 3 blue mana will fetch something that costs 5, which is insanely strong. He doesn't even play his commander over there. He just says done. This poor guy plays a tapped black land. Stop. Okay. All right, we go back to his turn. They're grumbling about Winter Orb. So he exerts his guy to play Conley Heart Expedition, which basically does nothing. Because even if he's able to landfall this, right, they come into play tapped. Yeah, put them on the battlefield tapped. This does nothing under Winter Orb, even if you're managed to get it going on, other than just triggering his Nissa, I guess. But he's miles away from doing that too, and only has 5 lands, so he exerted his guy for that. And I was really actually worried about the exertion to the point where I was considering, before this guy began his turn, I was actually considering tapping my 2 mana and destroying this thing with Breya and the 2 Thopters, just because I was so worried about what he might do with it. But now I don't have to worry at all. So end step, I'm going to go get a Volcanic Island. Get to untap Tundra. Mystical Teachings. That is very timely. Play that. Just chilling here again. The inevitability of the orb. I see him tapping a bunch of mana here, and he casts Cursor of Krufix, revealing Reforge the Soul. 5 mana Wheel of Fortune with Miracle. It's very timely to see that, actually, and very handy. I'm glad there was no land on top, too. So poor mono black guy's just chilling here. He eventually just decides he's going to cast Gonti, and I don't really care about that because I have the option now, thanks to Mystical Teachings, to go get Cyclonic Rift. So whatever he plays of mine, provided that it's a permanent, I could just bounce it back to my hand, and all these guys will continue to be trapped under the orb. So that is no problem at all. And he just does nothing. Some more mono green guy. And he plays an Eldrazi Temple. He still has not flipped his Nissa, and he's just done. So at end of turn, I'm going to make a super awesome play here. So I sack that and go get, I think, a Badlands. Yeah, no, I just get a Steam Vents. Take the damage off it, which doesn't matter. And I get to tap 3 blue. Oh, first I'm going to obviously Mystical Teachings, and this works out perfectly. No question. Whir of Invention. The perfect card right now. So gross. So I get to tap 3 blue, and then these 5 artifacts, and of course this little amazing trick comes into play, where I get to tap Winter Orb as part of the improvise cost, which means that when I go to my untap step, the orb is untapped, or is tapped, and therefore is shut off for the turn, which means I get a full untap out of all my mana and improvise for 5, and I get the obvious 5 mana thing in my deck. That big fellow. It's so disgusting. All right. And I'm going to Mystical Tutor during upkeep here as well, because I have one thing in mind. I know that this guy's tapped and not doing anything. This guy's going to be certainly casting his Reforge the Soul during his upkeep, and I've got a counterspell for that. And the only unknown factor is Mr. 6 cards in hand mono green over here. And so there's one way to cut his throat immediately. Play a land out of the graveyard. I'm getting a little twisty. Death comes for him. He discarded It That Betrays, Ulamog, good lord, Emrakul, holy shit. I didn't even actually look when we played Boundless Realms. Good lord, Decimator of the Provinces, and Green Warden of Murasa. That is insane. Look at that. Goddamn, Winter Orb is so good. Look at this hand. And Emrakul in particular, so devastating. Out of all the cards in the format, this is maybe the one that I hate the most, because I've had so many games where I'm just completely in the driver's seat. Well, not so many games, but a handful of games where I'm completely in the driver's seat in a game like this, and the guy just has this dumb creature, and he takes my turn and makes me lose, and it's very frustrating. Like sacking all my permanents to all my artifacts to shoot myself in the face and losing my Winter Orb, and it's just awful. Unfortunately, I twisted his Emrakul out of his hand, and I feel zero guilt. So he, of course, casts his Reforge the Soul. I'm going to be counterspelling that, given the fact that I don't want this guy to draw a new hand. And Bob Westgate bows out, rightfully, as he's completely locked under Winter Orb. Yeah, there'll be no reforging on my watch, buddy. Counterspell. And that counterspell kills Mono Green Man. Now it's just 1v1. And when I see the Bloodstained Mire on there, I know for sure that I'm going to tap these 2 lands and blow up his Cursor of Krufix while he's still during his draw step, because I don't want him to play the Bloodstained Mire for free. And I think as soon as that second guy scoops, I think that's the end of the game. I'm going to jump ahead here, but... Hello? Yeah, that's it. This guy knows that it's totally over and totally hopeless when I've got all this mana in play and he's got nothing. And I also have mystical Teachings in the graveyard to flash back to do even more naughtiness to him. So he packs it in, and that is game number 3, won by either Breya or Nin. I thought this game was the coolest of the 3 games in terms of Winter Orb coming into play and tamping everybody down. But if you guys are fans of this format, I don't have to play it very, very often. If people don't really prefer it. But if you are fans of the multiplayer format and like it as a change of pace, please let me know in the comments if you'd like me to play more and post more of these games, or whether or not you hate them, whatever the case is. It is tough to get high-level competition simply because people who play more casually are attracted to the multiplayer format, and it is sort of the way that Commander is played by a lot of people and enjoyed by them. But at the same time, it is an interesting exercise to see how these pretty much 1v1 focused decks stack up against multiple opponents at the same time. So if you do like the format, let me know, and I will continue to post more games. Got a few more solo games to record as well. Hopefully I'll get those done tonight, and if not, tomorrow. See you guys soon.